Welcome to Mythstory and Legends. Today, we shine our spotlight on one of the most enigmatic and powerful gods of ancient mythology, Hades, the Lord of the Underworld. In this episode, we'll explore the origins, myth, and cultural impact of this fascinating deity. So, sit back, relax, and let us guide you through the dark and mysterious realm of Hades. Our journey begins at the dawn of time, in the age of the Titans. Hades was one of the 6 children of the Titans Cronus and Rhea. Alongside his siblings, Zeus, Poseidon, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, Hades played a crucial role in the epic Titanomachy, the war between the Titans and the Olympians. The story of Hades' origins is deeply intertwined with the very creation of the world and the struggle for power that defined the early days of Greek mythology. Cronus, the father of Hades, was notorious for his fear of being overthrown by one of his offspring. To prevent this, he swallowed each of his children at birth, imprisoning them in his stomach. Rhea, desperate to save her youngest child, Zeus, tricked Cronus by giving him a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes to swallow instead. Zeus was hidden and raised in secret, eventually growing strong enough to challenge his father. With the help of his mother, he forced Cronus to regurgitate his siblings: Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. The Titanomachy was a cataclysmic war that raged for 10 years. The Olympian gods, led by Zeus, fought against the older generation of Titans to gain control of the cosmos. Hades, despite his often dark and solitary portrayal, was a formidable warrior during this conflict. He wielded a powerful helmet given to him by the Cyclopes, which granted him the ability to become invisible. This helm of darkness, or cap of invisibility, allowed Hades to move unseen, strike enemies from the shadows, and turn the tide of battles in favor of the Olympians. After their victory over the Titans, the 3 brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, divided the cosmos among themselves through the casting of lots. Zeus claimed the sky, becoming the king of the gods and ruler of Mount Olympus. Poseidon took the sea, ruling over all waters and aquatic creatures. Hades, the eldest, was given dominion over the underworld. This division of realms was not just a distribution of power, but a reflection of the balance needed to maintain the natural order of the world. Hades' realm, the underworld, is often depicted as dark and foreboding, a place where souls of the deceased are judged and assigned their eternal fates. However, it is important to understand that the underworld was not merely a place of punishment, but a complex and multifaceted domain. It was divided into several regions, each with its own unique characteristics and purposes. The underworld was both a realm of eternal rest and a place of torment, depending on the lives led by the souls who inhabited it. The river Styx, the river of hate, served as the boundary between the world of the living and the dead. This river was one of the 5 major rivers of the underworld, the others being the Akron River of Woe, the Cocytus River of Lamentation, the Phlegethon River of Fire, and the Lethe River of Forgetfulness. Souls were ferried across the Styx by Charon, the grim boatman, who demanded a coin as payment. This is why ancient Greeks placed coins in the mouths of their deceased loved ones, ensuring they could pay for their passage into the afterlife. Within the underworld, there were distinct areas for the souls of the dead. The Elysian Fields, or Elysium, was a paradise for heroes and those favored by the gods. This blissful realm was akin to heaven, where the virtuous enjoyed an eternity of peace and happiness. The Asphodel Meadows, on the other hand, was a more neutral zone where ordinary souls wandered aimlessly. It was neither a place of reward nor punishment, but a reflection of the mundane lives led by those who resided there. Tartarus, a deep abyss, was reserved for the most wicked and for the punishment of Titans. It was a place of eternal suffering, where the condemned endured endless torment. Hades himself is often misunderstood. Unlike his brothers, who ruled the sky and sea, Hades' domain was associated with death and the afterlife, which led to his portrayal as a grim and fearsome deity. However, Hades was not evil. He was a just ruler, maintaining balance and order in the afterlife. His role was crucial in the ancient Greek understanding of the cycle of life and death. Hades was responsible for ensuring that souls received their due rewards or punishments based on their actions in life. This role required fairness, impartiality, and an unwavering sense of justice. In addition to his role as the ruler of the underworld, Hades was also associated with wealth and prosperity. The Greek word plauton, another name for Hades, is derived from plautos, meaning wealth. This connection stems from the belief that all precious metals and gems mined from the earth were under Hades' domain. Thus, he was also regarded as a god of abundance and prosperity, highlighting the duality of his nature. Hades' wealth was not just material, but also symbolic of the hidden treasures and mysteries of the earth. Despite his somber and sometimes fearsome depiction, Hades was a necessary and integral part of the ancient Greek pantheon. His role in maintaining the balance between life and death, ensuring justice in the afterlife, and overseeing the riches of the earth made him a powerful and respected deity. In the next section, we will delve deeper into one of the most famous myths involving Hades, the tale of Persephone, and explore the complexities of their relationship. One of the most famous myths involving Hades is the tale of Persephone, the goddess of spring and daughter of Demeter. According to the myth, Hades fell in love with Persephone and abducted her to be his queen. Demeter, stricken with grief, caused a great famine as she searched for her daughter. To resolve the crisis, Zeus intervened, and it was agreed that Persephone would spend part of the year with Hades and part with Demeter. This myth explains the seasons. Persephone's descent into the underworld marks the onset of winter, and her return brings spring. The story of Hades and Persephone begins with Persephone's idyllic life on Earth. She was the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and fertility, and was often depicted as a young maiden of great beauty and innocence. Persephone's charm and grace captured the hearts of many gods, but it was Hades who was most deeply smitten. Despite his somber role as the ruler of the underworld, Hades fell deeply in love with Persephone. However, he knew that Demeter would never willingly allow her daughter to leave the surface world for the underworld. Hades devised a plan to abduct Persephone. One day, while she was gathering flowers with her companions in a meadow, Hades emerged from a chasm in the earth in his chariot drawn by black horses. He seized Persephone and carried her off to the underworld. The earth closed behind them, and Persephone's cries for help went unheard by her companions. Demeter, upon discovering her daughter's disappearance, was devastated. She wandered the earth in search of Persephone, neglecting her duties as the goddess of agriculture. Without Demeter's care, the earth fell into a state of barrenness. Crops withered, and famine spread across the land. The cries of the starving people reached Olympus, and Zeus realized that he had to intervene to restore balance. Zeus sent Hermes, the messenger god, to the underworld to negotiate Persephone's release. Hades, though reluctant, agreed to let Persephone return to her mother. However, before she left, Hades tricked Persephone into eating pomegranate seeds, binding her to the underworld. According to ancient beliefs, consuming food from the underworld meant that Persephone could never fully leave it. A compromise was reached. Persephone would spend part of the year with Hades in the underworld and part with Demeter on the surface. This arrangement explained the changing seasons. When Persephone was with Hades, Demeter mourned her absence, and the earth experienced the cold and barren months of winter. When Persephone returned to Demeter, the earth blossomed with life and fertility, heralding the arrival of spring and summer. This cycle of separation and reunion symbolized the natural rhythms of growth, decay, and renewal. Hades' relationship with Persephone is a complex one. Despite the initial abduction, their marriage is often depicted as one of mutual respect and love. Persephone herself grew to become a powerful queen, ruling alongside Hades and playing a vital role in the governance of the underworld. In some versions of the myth, Persephone's time in the underworld transformed her, imbuing her with the strength and wisdom needed to be a formidable ruler. Persephone's dual role as the goddess of spring and the queen of the underworld made her a unique figure in Greek mythology. She embodied both life and death, growth and decay. Her presence in the underworld brought a sense of balance and harmony, complementing Hades' stern and just rule. Together, they ensured that the souls of the dead were treated fairly and that the cycle of life and death continued uninterrupted. The myth of Hades and Persephone also had significant cultural implications. It reinforced the idea that life and death are intertwined, each necessary for the other's existence. The seasonal cycle explained by their myth provided a natural and comforting framework for understanding the changes in the environment. It also underscored the importance of balance and harmony in the cosmos, a theme prevalent in many Greek myths. In ancient Greek society, the story of Persephone's abduction and her subsequent role as queen of the underworld was reflected in various religious rites and festivals. The Eleusinian Mysteries, one of the most important religious ceremonies in ancient Greece, were dedicated to Demeter and Persephone. These mysteries, held annually, celebrated the themes of life, death, and rebirth, and promised initiates a deeper understanding of the afterlife and the hope of immortality. Hades' relationship with Persephone is one of the most enduring and poignant stories in Greek mythology. It highlights the complexity of the gods and their relationships, the interplay between power and compassion, and the natural cycles that govern our world. In the next section, we will explore the inhabitants of the underworld and the various figures who interact with Hades in his dark realm. Beyond Persephone, Hades' underworld is populated by numerous other figures from Greek mythology. Among them is Cerberus, the fearsome three-headed dog who guards the gates, preventing the dead from leaving and the living from entering. Another notable figure is Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft and crossroads, who often serves as a guide for souls. Cerberus is one of the most iconic creatures associated with the underworld. This monstrous guardian, with his 3 heads and serpent's tail, was both a symbol of Hades' power and a protector of his realm. Each head of Cerberus represented vigilance, ensuring that no soul could escape and no living intruder could enter without consequence. Cerberus' terrifying appearance served as a deterrent to those who might seek to disturb the natural order of life and death. Despite his fearsome nature, Cerberus was not inherently evil. He was a loyal servant to Hades and played a crucial role in maintaining the boundaries between the worlds of the living and the dead. Cerberus' presence in the underworld also emphasized the inescapable nature of death, reminding mortals of the finality of their journey once they crossed into Hades' domain. Hecate, another significant figure in the underworld, was a goddess with complex associations. She was revered as a goddess of witchcraft, magic, and the night. Hecate's connection to the underworld stemmed from her role as a psychopomp, a guide for souls transitioning between life and death. She was often depicted as a 3-formed goddess, symbolizing her dominion over the heavens, earth, and underworld. Hecate's presence in the underworld underscored her role as a mediator between realms. She possessed profound knowledge of both the living and the dead, and her guidance was sought by those who practiced necromancy or sought to communicate with departed souls. Hecate's association with crossroads also highlighted her role in decisions and transitions, both in life and in the afterlife. Another notable figure in the underworld was Minos, one of the 3 judges of the dead. Alongside Aeacus and Rhadamanthus, Minos was responsible for determining the fate of souls entering the underworld. These judges evaluated the deeds of the deceased and assigned them to their respective afterlife regions: Elysium for the virtuous, Asphodel for the ordinary, and Tartarus for the wicked. The role of the judges was crucial in maintaining the moral order of the underworld. Their decisions were guided by a sense of justice and impartiality, reflecting the values of ancient Greek society. The idea of judgment after death provided a moral framework for the living, encouraging virtuous behavior and deterring wrongdoing. The underworld was also home to various mythical creatures and entities that contributed to its eerie and mystical atmosphere. The Erinyes, or Furies, were fearsome goddesses of vengeance who pursued and punished those who committed heinous crimes, especially familial murders. Their relentless pursuit of justice made them both feared and respected, embodying the concept of retribution. The presence of these entities in the underworld highlighted the complex and multifaceted nature of Hades' realm. It was a place of judgment and retribution, but also of guidance and transformation. The various inhabitants of the underworld played distinct roles in ensuring the smooth functioning of this afterlife domain, each contributing to its unique character. Hades' interactions with heroes and mortals also highlight his role in Greek mythology. For instance, the hero Heracles had to descend into the underworld as part of his 12 labors to capture Cerberus. Heracles' successful completion of this task demonstrated his strength and bravery, as well as his ability to navigate the treacherous realms of the dead. Orpheus, the legendary musician, ventured into Hades' realm to retrieve his beloved Eurydice. Using his enchanting music, Orpheus moved even the heart of the stern god of the dead. Hades and Persephone were so moved by Orpheus' plea that they agreed to let Eurydice return to the living world, with a condition that Orpheus must not look back until they had both reached the surface. Tragically, Orpheus looked back too soon, and Eurydice was lost to the underworld forever. These myths highlight the interactions between the living and the dead, showcasing the bravery, love, and tragedy that define human existence. Hades' role in these stories is not one of a malevolent figure, but of a just ruler who upholds the natural order and responds to the pleas of mortals with fairness. Despite his fearsome reputation, Hades was respected and revered. He was invoked during funeral rites and when seeking protection for the deceased. Temples and sanctuaries dedicated to Hades were rare, reflecting the Greek belief that his presence was best kept at a distance. However, sites like the Necromanteon, an ancient temple of necromancy, were places where mortals could communicate with the dead and seek Hades' favor. Hades' influence extended beyond ancient Greece. His Roman counterpart, Pluto, similarly ruled the underworld and was associated with wealth, as precious metals and gems were mined from beneath the earth. This duality of death and wealth underscores Hades' complex nature, both feared and essential, a guardian of souls and a provider of Earth's riches. In modern times, Hades continues to captivate our imagination. He appears in literature, movies, and video games, often depicted as a dark, brooding figure or as a more nuanced character with a rich backstory. From Disney's Hercules to Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series, Hades' legacy endures, proving that his myth resonates across generations. Ultimately, Hades embodies the ancient Greek understanding of death and the afterlife, a necessary part of existence that should be approached with respect and reverence. Through his myths, we gain insight into the values and beliefs of a culture that sought to make sense of the mysteries of life and death. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the myths and legends of Hades, the Lord of the Underworld. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more explorations into the fascinating world of mythology. Until next time, keep seeking the stories that shape our world.